All right, guys, so as promised, yesterday I went live with the leaf blower like runtime challenge, and today I tore up some of these flags. Gonna have to burn it. Just kidding. It's a joke. You gotta get rid of them though if you tear up. But today I'm going live with my Tunnel of Truth challenge. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm testing to see which one of these leaf blowers is the most powerful, because there's a lot of varying factors with a leaf blower and power, as I've talked about in previous videos. Like, some people advertise the CFM being the most important thing, which is a measure of how much air. It's called cubic feet per minute, I think. Yeah, it's per minute. And then some people advertise as miles per hour being the most important thing when it comes to a leaf blower. And then some people say, like, I don't know, they come up with some, a Newton, which is combining basically those. It's some weird calculation. Anyway, I figured the best way to do it is to reduce the variability in terms of like nozzle size, because this nozzle's a little bit more narrow than say this nozzle tip, so that's going to influence how well the leaf blower blows leaves, because some of the air is going to be more dispersed versus like something like this going to be a little bit more narrow and concentrated. So it might look like your leaf blower is more powerful, but it's more powerful on a just like it's like a pin needle versus a river or something like that. So anyway, I've rigged up the Tunnel of Truth 3000. Basically what it is, it's a clear 4-inch PVC pipe, and I'm gonna just shoot it. I'm gonna put a tennis ball. I was gonna do a wiffle ball, but tennis ball you could see a little bit better in the end of each one of these leaf blowers, and I'm gonna shoot it in my backyard and see which one pushes this the furthest. So I'm gonna have to do a little finagling with my hands and camera because I only have 2 hands. But basically I'm starting out with this Greenworks 80 volt. Gotta stick it in the end. Here, I'll show you what I'm doing. Sticking it in the end, and that creates a bit of a seal right here. So I got a seal made on the PVC, and then I'm gonna hammer down on the throttle and see where it bounces, because there's a whole bunch of variability. Like, it could bounce on a rock and get kicked the other way, but it's where it hits the ground is where we're gonna measure it. So first up is gonna be the Greenworks 80 volt. I just hammer it down, no turbo button, because some of these blowers don't have turbos, some of them do. But for this particular test, I'm not gonna use the turbo button. But 3, 2, 1. Boom, baby. All right, gotta keep my eye on it. See it? And I'm gonna use the leaf blower itself as the marking point, like where it landed. So first up was that Greenworks. Boom, right there. TLR right there in the back. I'm gonna grab this one. So that's our baseline. That's measurement number 1, Greenworks. Let me know if y'all can still hear me too. It's gonna look cool in the video for sure. Next up, we got the Ryobi 40 volt. And same concept. It's interesting, that's an 80 volt leaf blower and this is a 40 volt. So a lot of people like to say the higher voltage of the leaf blower, the more powerful it is, or tool in general, but that's not always true. There's a lot that goes into the efficiency of the motor that influences that. So just because it's a bigger voltage doesn't mean it's going to be more powerful. Let's see. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, well, that one was just a little bit shorter than the other one. I'm gonna place this one. It landed about 4 feet. I've got something on my beard near my lip. Oh, thank you. Probably a little saliva. So, looks like the Greenworks is more powerful than the Ryobi, but we're getting to the beefier dogs now. Next up, we're gonna go with the Ego 765 CFM blower. So that's advertised a little bit higher than both these. The Ryobi, I think, is 600 CFMs, where the Greenworks is like 650, 630 CFMs. This one's 765. So it should go a little bit further. But again, so much goes into it. And that's even shorter than the Ryobi, which is weird. It was advertised to run higher, but it actually shot shorter. Who'd have thought? Let me know though. What do you guys think about this test? Do you think it's the Milwaukee M18? It's got 2 batteries, so it's a little bit different than the other one. So actually it's probably 36 volts versus 18. This was advertised as 600 CFM. All right, 1, 2, 3. Hey, son. Shot over the Ego. Actually gonna put that one in second place. I saw where it landed. It was right next to one of these leaves. Actually shot the tennis ball the furthest, so go figure. Milwaukee's in first. We got a really powerful one coming up though, the Toro. This one's sick. 900 CFMs with turbo button down. Again, I'm not using the turbo button on this test, just to create, you know, as fair a comparison as we can. I will run the test back through again in my main video with the turbo button to see how big of a difference the turbo button actually makes. But for me, when I'm using a leaf blower, I use the turbo button very sparingly because I feel like it so drastically reduces the runtime that it's not even a fair comparison. They're like 2 different tools, in my opinion. A leaf blower with the turbo button on versus a leaf blower without. All right. All right. Toro 60 volt. Oh yeah. Far and away the furthest. This thing's a beast. I really like it, but you know, as you saw yesterday on some of the runtime stuff, just because it's a beast, just because it blows air really hard, doesn't mean that it's the best leaf blower, because the runtime, if you remember, was like not so great. But that's it. I mean, Toro, Milwaukee, Greenworks, Ryobi, Ego, which is crazy. I've been the biggest Ego fan with that blower for like a couple years, and turns out I was wrong. So guys, I'm probably gonna go live with another test tomorrow, which is a user experience test. Basically it's like a field day test. What I think is like really important about that test is I thought for the longest time the most important thing about a leaf blower was how powerful it was, but actually as I'm getting older and like experiencing different situations with a leaf blower, it's not always the most powerful blower that's best. It's the one that you have the most control over. Because my wife has gotten mad at me so many times because I've been blowing out our beds and I just blow out a whole bunch of mulch with it because I have no low end control. So that's a test on the field day test that I think is going to be really important. It's the overall control of the tool. How heavy is it? How the ergonomics behind it, the balancing of the blower. Are you having to torque your arm up like this constantly to keep it pointing in the direction that you want, or does it kind of naturally do that based on the way that they design the tool? So a lot of that will come in the I guess you could call it field day challenge that I'm going to do next. I'll post a video or like a thumbnail or post on my channel letting you guys know when that's coming, but make sure you subscribe, and so that you can see that test, and then check out the runtime test that I did yesterday, and then also subscribe so you can just see the whole dang video. But thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. That was the Tunnel of Truth. On to the next one. See y'all again. Bye.